Namaste and welcome to the Yinning at Life podcast. I'm your host, Kimberley Roberts of SolefulYin. I'm a reflexology therapist and Yin Yoga teacher and a mindset shifter. And I'm here to talk about all things related to Chinese medicine, Yin Yoga, reflexology, acupressure, mindset development, you name it, life hacks, healthy lifestyle living tips. I'm here for it all, and I'm here to share it with you all as well. So welcome to today's episode. Thank you so much for pressing play. So what do I want to talk about today? What I want to talk about is a single word. How much power a single word that comes out of your mouth, that comes off your tongue, how much power that has. So to put it in context, I want to talk about my past experience, okay? So if you've gone through season 1 and the beginning of season 2 of my episodes, I talk about my healing journey. So I have 3 parts to my healing journey. I've got part 1, part 2, and part 3. Part 3 was just recently released. But I want to go back and talk a little bit about that journey and the power of a single word and what that meant. So I think all of us can probably relate to this. If you've ever been in a situation where you're like, oh my God, like, is this ever going to come? Is this ever going to happen? Like, this is taking forever to happen. Or has it been the opposite? Like, holy cow, like I just thought of that and all of a sudden, like it appeared out of nowhere, right? So in my particular situation, it's been almost 9 years, definitely about just over 8.5 years ago. I was still married to an abusive alcoholic who I had been together with for, at that point, 20 years. And he was in a really, really bad state at that point. His alcoholism had definitely escalated. He was starting to have mental health issues as well. So they were diagnosing him as bipolar. He was very abusive. He was on several different medications, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications. They had him on bipolar medication. And of course, through all of that, guess what? He was drinking still. So I think we all know that a cocktail of alcohol and drugs do not mix. So things just kept getting progressively worse and worse. And I was at that point where I was like, I've had it. Like, I can't take it anymore. Like, how many more chances am I going to give this person? He had already been in and out of rehab at the Royal Ottawa Mental Health Institution 6 times. 6 times. And the last time he was in there, the doctor told him, I'm sorry, I try to believe that everybody can move past their challenges and their trauma. But he said sometimes, he goes, I do come across some people where it's not this lifetime that they heal. And he said, unfortunately, I think it's that with your husband. I don't think he's going to heal in this lifetime. I wish him maybe in the next lifetime that he'll heal. And he said, we'll give him one more opportunity, one more chance, which meant chance number 7. And so I managed to convince him to go back into rehab for the 7th time. And I was really hopeful. I was hopeful every single time, but I was really hopeful this time because the doctor had a different approach with him. I had a different approach with him. I had a better understanding of his past and his trauma. And so there was a lot more compassion on my end. My God, I mean, most people probably would have told me to have left like a long time before that, but I believed that he could heal. So anyways, he was in rehab and it was going really well. He was inpatient and then he was outpatient and it was going really well. And then it didn't go so well. So, and how it didn't go so well is that I ended up getting an email from a fellow patient who was in rehab with my husband at the time. And it was sent from, I don't know if it was a fake email account or, but definitely the person's name like was somewhat blocked. So I wouldn't be able to tell who it was from. It was a weird, Hotmail account. But there were pictures and there was context in there where it was showing that my husband was engaging in an affair with a fellow patient who was in rehab with him at the same time. Yeah. And at first I was like, is this just somebody playing some kind of sick, cruel joke? Or this is just like, this isn't even real. Like, this is bullshit, right? Like, I don't believe this. Like, somebody just hacked this up. But then when I started looking at the pictures more and I was reading the text, and the person who was sending it to me said, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but you need to know your husband is having an affair with a cocaine addict who is in rehab at the same time as him. And I could just tell by reading the email, there was so much compassion in this person's words. And I was like, well, I've got to figure out, like, is this legitimate? Like, is this true? So I went to his doctor at the RO and I showed him the pictures and explained everything. And he said, I confirm. And I said, you confirm what? And he's like, I confirm he's having an affair. And I said, excuse me? I'm like, they're in rehab. And he said to me, unfortunately, this happens a lot. And I was like, what? Really? He was like, it happens. He's like, they're in a close-knit community. They all can relate to each other, like, because that was one thing that my husband used to tell me all the time. You can't relate to what I'm going through. You're not an alcoholic. You don't have an addiction. You don't know what it's like. And I was like, you're right. I don't know what it's like, but it doesn't mean I can't have compassion for you and I can't try and help you go through this journey. But he was like, he would just backlash at me and say, you know what? You have no idea what it's like. So when I found out that this was actually true, I confronted my husband and I told him, I said, I actually have proof you're having an affair. And did he deny it? No. He came right out and he said, nope, you're right. He goes, I am having an affair with this woman that I met in rehab. We're in love and we're planning on getting married. And I was like, we're married right now. And he's like, yeah, well, we'll get a divorce and I'm moving on. And I just stood there like a deer struck in the headlights, right? And I was just like, I don't even know how to respond to this. So I walked upstairs and I went into the spare bedroom and I closed the door. And for a hot second, I literally lost it. Like I lost it. Like I wanted to just scream. I wanted to tear the room apart. I just lost it. I screamed into a pillow and I was just like, I have effing fucking had this. And then I broke down and I started crying. And he walked up into the bedroom and he saw me and he lost it. So he started crying and he said, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't be putting you through this. Like I'm the worst person in this world. I don't deserve to live. I'm going to end my life now. And he walked out of the room and he got in his car or his truck and he left. And I had no idea what was going to happen. Was he actually going to end his life? Was he just spewing out words? Was he trying to threaten me in some way or scare me? I don't know. So I just lay there in like a fetal position in bed, and all I could think of was, what do I pray for right now? What do I pray for right now? All I could hear was the word pray, 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 the single word of pray. And I was like, I pray for a life of peace. I pray for a life where I'm no longer being threatened verbally, physically, emotionally, mentally, sexually, spiritually. I pray for this. I pray for a life where I am completely 100% free, free of my body, my mind, my soul, my spirit. I pray to walk into a home where I'm just like, it's so peaceful. I'm so happy. I'm so content. I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed. I'm so honored. I'm so happy. I pray, I pray, I pray. And I just kept saying that over and over again. Universe, I'm like, I know you can hear me. I pray for all of this one word, pray. Now, I'm not religious in any way. I mean, I grew up Catholic, and I grew up fairly strong Catholic. Like, we had to go to church every Sunday. Um, but I don't practice being a Catholic anymore, but I do believe in a higher source. So whether you want to call that God, universe, spirit, source, whatever, angel, I call it universe. And I was saying to the universe, I'm like, universe, I pray, I pray, I pray. I know you hear me. I know you hear me. I pray, I pray, I pray for this life. And that was 8.5 years ago. After that whole incident, my husband came back home, and I said to him, this is over. Like, I'm moving on. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I said, I said, I want you out. I said, go and stay with whoever that woman is that you're having an affair with. Go live with her. The house is going up for sale. We're going to sell it, and we're moving on. We're going to get divorced. All of this. I'm done. Like, I'm done, done, done. And he was like, well, you've said you're done before. And I'm like, I'm done. Like, I am fucking done this time. And so that day I contacted my real estate agent, put the house up for sale the next day. The house sold. He was in rehab. He was in and out patient at that point. So he went and stayed with her. He packed up his stuff that single day and moved out. And I stayed in the house until the house was sold. And then I moved into this condo that I'm living in right now, 8.5 years later. And the life that I prayed for back then that I couldn't see, I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know where I'm going to get the money to move here. I got to, there's expenses with moving. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I barely, I had my reflexology practice, but that business was barely off the ground. It was not solid. It was not stable. I was like, I don't know where the money is going to come from. I don't know how I'm going to be able to pay for this place, but I'm like, it's going to happen. And has the last 8.5 years been a picnic? Has it been like a road of lollipops and unicorns? Absolutely not. There has been some really difficult times. And I mean, trying to navigate a pandemic, living by myself, trying to run my own business. And even back then, I was teaching yoga at a yoga studio at the time, and I had my reflexology practice, but they still weren't solid businesses that were generating a lot of revenue, right? But I was lucky. I was really fortunate. I had support elsewhere that I am so grateful and so blessed to have. But to put it all together, now it's 8.5 years later. I'm living here. I live in freedom. I live in peace. I'm happy. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. I'm content. I'm free. I walk out that door, and when I walk back in, I know exactly what I'm walking into. Maybe a cat who's asleep, or maybe she's having fun and she's playing, but I know I'm walking into a place that's peaceful, where I don't have to worry about, am I going to be on edge the minute I unlock this door? What am I going to walk into? I know exactly what I'm walking into, peace and freedom. Every single day, I walk into peace and freedom. And every night when I go to bed, I remind myself of where I was 8.5 years ago, where I was using that single word. I pray. I pray for a life where I'm free and where I'm at peace. And now I have 4 incredible businesses. I have a solid reflexology practice where I am seeing patients, and I'm fully booked every single week with the most incredible, incredible patients. who believe in the power of healing with reflexology. I have a beautiful online yoga and well-being platform, my own. I always wanted to have my own yoga studio, but when I thought about having a yoga studio, I thought brick and mortar, right? But no, the universe had a different plan for me. During the pandemic, I started up my own online yoga studio. And I have well-being practices on there. So I have acupressure and reflexology and breath work and meditation and gentle yoga flow. And of course, my passion, which is yin yoga, which is the majority of my online platform. And I have healing courses and energetic courses where you can start to heal and evolve and move into the next version of yourself. This is crazy. I have a dog walking business. So most of my life, I've had dogs. And up until like 5 years ago, I had a dog. And then when she passed away, I was just like, I just can't do another dog right now. So I ended up getting a cat. But this year, I had decided I really miss the energy of dogs, but I don't want a dog, but I miss the energy of dogs. And then all of a sudden, I had this random thought that popped out of nowhere, which really was my higher self calling down to me. Why don't you start a dog walking business? And I was like, what? Dog walking business? There's tons of dogs that live in your condo complex. All these people are at work all day. They need their dog walked. So I put up some posters. I started a Facebook page, an Instagram account, and next thing I know, I'm walking dogs. Incredible. And then I started up a yogi energetics. I guess you can call it, well, it's a website, but it's like courses for yogis who want to master their mindset and their energy, because that's something that I am super passionate about, is helping you to understand how your mind works and how your energy works. Because 95% of how life happens for you is because of your energy, and 5% is your strategy. So I started that. And then in January of this year, I started up the Yinning at Life podcast because I realized that my superpower is my voice, is speaking. And so I love to talk wisdom and provide insight to people, and to help people gain awareness and to turn the light bulb over their head on the on position so that you're living your life from a conscious state, not an unconscious, unaware state. So I started that podcast and I've already had a number 1 ranking episode. Like, I had stopped the podcast for a few months because after that number 1 ranking podcast episode, I thought, oh my God, how am I going to top this? And I kind of freaked out a little bit and I let the fear get to me. But, and then I decided, hell no, no more fear. Let's just go for it. So I have these 4 beautiful businesses. And I will tell you that 8.5 years ago, I could not see any of this. I couldn't even see how I was going to even move, how I was even going to leave a 20-year marriage to somebody that I loved. Like, yes, was he ill? Absolutely. Did he make my life really difficult? Absolutely. But he also had some beautiful, beautiful parts of him that I still carry in my heart. And I've moved to a point in my own energy, my own vibration, where I forgive him for how he treated me. And I forgive myself for how I treated him, because I do admit there were moments where I wasn't so kind and I wasn't so compassionate to him when I could have been. But to circle back to, a single word has so much power. What you speak is broadcasted out to the universe. Your tongue speaks volumes. And you are a powerful, powerful being. There is more power in your pinky finger than you can even possibly tap in or imagine. But when you realize that you are the person who has the power to change your life, then you know what? Your words become even more powerful, and you are so much more aware of your words because you know that the words that you speak hold power. They hold power to you, and they hold power to other people who are in proximity of you. They hold power to people in your outside community. They hold power to people you don't even know. Your words hold power. They vibrate throughout this entire universe. So own your power and speak the words that you know are going to make a change in your life, and a change maybe out into the world. Because every word that you speak, there is a ripple compound effect that goes out there to others. So own your power, speak power, and above all, remind yourself that you are capable of doing anything. A single word. A single word is so powerful. And mine was pray. So thank you so much for pressing play today, for listening to this. If you felt like any of this landed, please feel free to leave a comment. If there is something that you want me to riff about, please put it out in a comment. Let me know. I am happy to provide you with any kind of insight based on my own experience in this thing called this healing and evolution journey of this thing called life. If you want more information on my healing courses, I will link that in the show notes. And above all, just remember, a single word holds so much power. Thank you so much for pressing play today. And I'll see you in the next episode. Namaste.